Our top focus on GRAVITAS, one of the countries that is deeply dependent on American aid. We're talking about Ukraine. It cannot account for roughly $200 billion in U.S. aid. You heard that right. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has reportedly said that he has no idea where most of the $200 billion in American aid went. Zelensky has reportedly said Washington has provided Kyiv with just over $75 billion in military and other aid. He added that he has no idea where U.S. President Donald Trump's estimate of $200 billion came from or where it might have disappeared to. So the question being, where did the money go? It's a real mystery perhaps. Since the war started in 2022, the U.S. Congress has authorized roughly $175 billion for Ukraine. Yet, Zelensky insists that he has seen little of that cash. So what happened to the money? What explains this disparity? Is America lying? Or is Zelensky hiding something? Perhaps the deeply entrenched corruption in his country. Well, Trump, who has been highly critical of Biden's magnanimity towards Ukraine, has argued that NATO and EU, and I'm quoting here, equalize their contributions with US's support. Last month, Trump had said, and I quote, "We are in there for $200 billion more than the EU. I mean, what are we, stupid?" U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance also mentioned the figure as early as last July, saying, and I quote, "We have now spent $200 billion. What is the goal? What are we trying to accomplish?" Well, according to several media reports, Zelensky has said that Ukraine never received even half of that sum. He reportedly said that Ukraine received about $76 billion in aid, but not $200 billion. But since 2022, the U.S. Congress has reportedly authorized roughly $175 billion for Ukraine. A major portion of that funding has reportedly gone to American industries and various U.S. government activities related to the war in Ukraine. Well, according to Germany's Karl Institute, the U.S. had allocated approximately $92 billion in financial and military aid to Ukraine, while EU countries and the UK had allocated $131 billion. This is the data till October 2024. If what Zelensky is saying is true, it only adds fuel to the firestorm of corruption in Ukraine. Just last month, in an interview with US podcaster Lex Fridman, Zelensky said that Ukraine has not received even half of the $177 billion that was allocated by the US. He has rather implied that this situation may be linked to corruption or lobbying by American companies. While admitting to the problem of corruption, Zelensky noted that Kyiv is working hard to combat it through what he described as the most complex anti-corruption system in Europe. However, clearly, it is not enough. Corruption remains the top domestic issue for Ukrainians, and it is the most acute problem among all European countries. In fact, according to the annual ranking of corruption by Transparency International, Ukraine has scored poorly for decades, and there are various reasons for it, including slow post-Soviet changes in Ukraine's economy, frequent shifts in ruling groups, and also a deeply entrenched habit of seeking easy solutions to everyday issues. This high level of corruption is among the reasons why EU and NATO have not yet accepted Ukraine's NATO membership. For Western governments, the fight against corruption has been stated as a top priority, and so, since the start of the Russia-Ukraine war, scandals related to the military have surfaced, including price gouging on food supplies for the armed forces, overpriced winter gear, and an unfulfilled contract for mortar shells. These are serious crimes, especially as they affect the lives of those fighting for their country. Well, the war has only complicated the issue further, worsening the situation. This brings us back to the current situation. The lack of clarity on the missing US aid and where the $200 billion have gone is rather shocking, given the gravity of the situation and the unchecked corruption. The question being, can Kyiv's allies truly ever trust Ukraine? A massive spike in seismic activity in Greek island of Santorini has raised concerns. The tremors have prompted authorities to send rescue units to the area and close schools as well. Some areas have been declared off limits as well due to rock slide risks. Now, Santorini is among Greece's top travel destinations, but the island is now seeing mass departures after more than 200 small earthquakes shook the region. Tremors were felt at one of the largest volcanic eruption sites in the island off the coast of Greece.
You could feel the tremors more last night in comparison to other days. It is shaking a little more, but from what the local authorities are saying, it is a natural phenomenon. We are worried, but we are not going to die worrying or flee the island.
Well, in the last 2 days, at least 200 minor earthquakes were recorded in the archipelago, with the strongest being a magnitude 4.6 on the Richter scale, striking the body of water between the islands of Santorini and Amorgos. Greek officials have urged the citizens to avoid large gatherings in enclosed spaces and stay away from certain ports of the island. Meanwhile, they've also asked to empty swimming pools of their water. The same measures are also taken for the neighboring small islands like Amorgos. Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis has appealed for calm after a wave of seismic tremors hit the tourist island.
Manage a very intense geological phenomenon. I want to ask our islanders, first and foremost, to stay calm and to listen to the instructions of the civil protection. I've also asked the responsible ministry, within the next few days, to make a comprehensive presentation, a scientific presentation of the geological data, so that everyone knows what the phenomenon we have to manage is.
Well, according to Greek officials, the earthquakes were triggered by tectonic movements and not by any volcanic activity. However, experts have not ruled out the possibility of a stronger earthquake, as some of the islands are home to several fault lines in the Earth's crust. Now, we all are aware of microplastics growing risks to one's health, and now a new study has uncovered a startling link between microplastic pollution and premature births. The study done by a team of US-based doctors reveals that microplastics and nanoplastics are more likely to show up in the placentas of premature babies than those born full term. Well, this discovery means that there is a possibility that the plastic shards could be contributing to the risk and occurrence of preterm birth. The study also poses an urgent question about the role of plastic pollution in pregnancy complications. The study, which was conducted in Houston, analyzed 175 placentas, which means 100 from full-term births and 75 from preterm births. And the end result was this: an average of 203 micrograms of plastic per gram in preterm placentas, which is over 50% of more found in full-term placentas. The study further highlighted that there were 12 types of plastic that were detected, the most common ones being the plastic used in bottles, PVC and polycarbonate. Well, microplastics are found in human brains as well as the bellies of fishes deep in the ocean. Now, they enter the human body through several ways, to name some. Number one, food. Microplastics can be found in a variety of foods, especially seafood, fish and shellfish, which can ingest microplastics, and they then end up in the human food chain. Number second, drinks. Bottled water has been identified as a common source of microplastics. Research suggests that microplastics can leach into water from plastic bottles. Third being, microplastics can be present in the air, particularly in urban areas or places with a lot of plastic waste. So when we breathe, these tiny particles can enter the respiratory system. The potential health implications of microplastics is increasingly concerning. And as we continue to uncover the hidden dangers of microplastics, one thing is clear, that these tiny particles are making a massive impact, and for expectant mothers and those planning to conceive, awareness is the first step towards protection.